Thailand is a country steeped in myth and legend, with a storied history of ancient kingdoms, terrifying ghosts, and national icons. Folk tales and legends in Thailand were used by elders to instill beliefs in the younger generation. Most stories contain moral lessons teaching the importance of following traditions and to display reverence for the elders, parents, and superiors. The stories of the spirit world taught children to be cautious, to stay home at night, and to respect customs regarding death rituals and the importance of offerings. These are some of the modern myths and legends of Thailand. Young Thai children are often warned by their parents to keep their eyes peeled for a mysterious van in the neighborhood because they might be abductors who are looking to lure children away from their families. If you think that snatching scared kids away from their home is the worst, think again. According to some tales, the abductors amputate the victims' arms and legs before forcing the poor little victims to become beggars in the city and make a profit off of them. Needless to say, this is the ultimate nightmare for parents and kids everywhere. While this story is nothing short of dramatic, the real story is even more morbid and haunting. There are always stories being told about the abduction of children in Thailand from time to time, but the bad guys' vehicles weren't always white vans. There is almost zero knowledge of what happened afterwards, as none of the victims made it back to tell anyone about it. Many reports and news outlets suggest that Thailand is home to human trafficking networks that target children and women. The victims are often smuggled from neighboring countries into Thailand for sexual exploitation, underage labor, and forced begging. This gives the world a reason to believe that these dramatic abduction cases are very much involved with the problem of underworld human trafficking. Whether or not this is true is anyone's guess, but there may be a kernel of truth to this myth. If you've ever lived in a traditional Thai wooden house, there's a high chance you might have heard the sound of footsteps, even when there's no one on the second floor. Many people who have heard these mysterious disembodied footsteps immediately think of house ghosts walking around, looking after the house while the living aren't around. In this case, house ghosts are believed to be benevolent spirits of your ancestors. Turning to science for more sensible explanations, it comes down to what is called thermal expansion. This is when the sun's heat causes the house joints to make creaking noises that are similar to that of footsteps on wooden boards. Although this explanation makes so much sense, especially considering that Thailand is super hot, one may still jump every time they hear the creaking of boards in the house. Around 30 years ago, a mobile movie screening company was hired by a mysterious villager to screen a movie in a rural northeastern village. However, they were strictly told to leave the area by 4 a.m. without any explanation. The audience came in as soon as the movie started and dispersed once it finished. It was well past 4 a.m. when the company was about to leave. However, they discovered that there was no road out of the area, and they were instead surrounded by dense jungle. Scared and confused, the crew decided to wait until morning came before heading to the nearby village to ask for help. Soon, the villagers came and helped clear the jungle so that the movie team's truck could get out. However, they later found that the pavement given by the villagers had turned into a sack of crisp leaves. This is one of the most famous stories in Thailand that even inspired a horror film. On the surface, this story seems legit despite its bizarre details because it was told by people who claim to have experienced it firsthand. However, many news investigations suggest that the story was sketchy rather than scary. This urban legend was later exposed by local news station Thai PBS in 2019 to be a hoax. After they discovered the person who hired the screening company on that day, the man also said the screening took place in a clearing near his home, not in the jungle, and that the audience were his fellow villagers who were not ghosts. Until today, nobody knows why the screening company made up such an elaborate story. Was it just a PR stunt gone wrong? Or an innocent lie that got blown out of proportion? Or perhaps were the villagers covering up something far more sinister? A decade ago, a man in Lampang province was rushed to the hospital after he received a phone call from a number he didn't recognize. The man said that someone on the other end was chanting in a language he didn't understand, and soon after he felt as though his entire being was on fire. Around this time, a set of cell numbers circulated around the northern territory of Thailand in the form of SMSs and chain letters. With them, there was a warning message suggesting that there are deadly numbers that can instantly kill whoever took the incoming call. Some have even said that the numbers would appear to be glowing a scarlet red on the victim's screen. Turns out that most of the deadly numbers were active, and the owners told the media that their daily life was severely disturbed as they received many calls from strangers each day. Since the deadly number shenanigans were big at the time, the man who appeared to have been caught on fire was thought to have been caught up in the mass hysteria of it all, and he was truly suffering from an actual medical ailment he didn't know he had. All in all, the true victims here were the owners of the so-called numbers of death. Here's another story involving the telephone. In the early 2000s, there was news floating around about a mysterious number that a person could dial to ask for anything they wanted. The story goes that if the receiver is an old man, you'll be able to ask for one thing without having to return the favor. If it is an old lady, however, the wish will come true with a price, and sometimes it could cost as much as the receiver's life. Admittedly, this one is almost impossible to debunk or confirm, since it was just pure word of mouth. However, Thai horror flick 999-9999 came out in 2002 with an uncannily similar plot. The movie tells the story about a group of friends who died in strange accidents after the wishes they made via the strange number came true. It could be said that the slasher movie inspired the modern urban legend, or, if you're a skeptic, the mysterious tale could have been the result of a brilliant PR scheme behind the movie itself. This old urban legend comes from the Lablay district of Uttaradit, a northern province in Thailand. It is said that a male villager went hunting up in the mountains before accidentally discovering a small but abundant village. He decided to settle there after falling in love with a local woman. They even had a child together. One day his child wouldn't stop crying for his mother while she was out of the house. So the man lied to the baby and told him that she was actually already home, just to soothe his tears. In that very moment, however, the entire village magically knew that he was lying and banished him from the village because of his wrongdoing, for lying was prohibited in the village. When he returned to his village, people were shocked to see him so scrawny after just a day of hunting in the jungle. The man was confused. Days later, he tried to prove that he wasn't insane by bringing his fellow villagers to where he discovered the mysterious village. But there was nothing there but trees. While many believe he discovered a mythical land, others think he had entered into another dimension. While we can neither confirm nor deny whether there's another dimension or a mythical world out there, we reckon this elaborate story is just local folklore that was told to help teach youngers to always be honest to others or risk being cast as an outsider. This concludes our quick look at some of the modern folklore in Thai culture. We sincerely hope you enjoyed it. If you ever find yourself in the Kingdom of Thailand, please consider looking into this aspect of Thai belief. If you found this video entertaining or informative, please give us a like and subscribe. Also, if you would like to help support us, please find the link to our Patreon page below. We have provided affiliate links in the description for hotel, travel, and car rentals. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If you would like us to cover any places or topics related to Thailand or Southeast Asia, just ask and we will try to accommodate you as quickly as possible. Until next time, thanks for watching.